Hi everyone. I wanted to do a quick video real quick comparing two gun sound effects featured in many movies released between the 70s and 80s and even the 90s. I've heard these used a couple times that I think are often confusing people. They do sound a little similar and they have been featured in many movies, so I can sort of see why people would get confused by these, but they're not the same effect. And I think it's to the point that people are sort of confusing one with the other. Like, I remember somebody commented on YouTube video saying, like, in this scene from this movie, that was the sound effect they used. And I was like, no, it wasn't. It sounds similar, but it's not that one. So let me show you the first one real quick. So the first one I'm going to show you is the iconic sound effect used for the 44 Magnum, used by Clint Eastwood in all 5 Dirty Harry films. This is an effect that's been featured in many films released during the 70s and 80s. So if you're a watcher of movies from that time, I'm sure you've heard this effect at some point or another. But the movies that this effect is most associated with is Dirty Harry and that 44 Magnum. So I'll show you that one real quick. Credit goes to that SFX guy for the video that I'm using to demonstrate this. So here's the effect. So yeah, if you've watched many films from the 70s or 80s, I'm sure you might recognize that sound. It's definitely been featured in many films. It was in the original mono version of Terminator before it got remixed later on for the DVD and then later the Blu-ray versions. But if you listen to the original mono mix of Terminator, you will hear that effect. It was in the original mix for Batman 89. Again, a movie that later on got remixed, and that sound effect is not there. I mean, I know some of the streaming versions, believe it or not, still have the original mix. So if you get Batman 89 on like DVD or an earlier Blu-ray release, you'll definitely hear that effect there. So, but yeah, it's been featured in many films. But there's another effect that people I think are often confusing with that one. Sounds a little similar and has been featured in many films like that one has, but it's not that one. Let's hear that one real quick. So that comes from the same video that I was just playing before, but that's another effect that's been used in many films released in the 70s and 80s. In fact, I even heard it in an episode of Married with Children that came out in the mid-90s. But it's an effect that's been used in many films. It was in the original mono mix of Jaws, not the surround mix, the mono version. It was in Halloween and a few other films, but it sounds similar to the 44 Magnum effect from Dirty Harry, but it's not that. Again, here is the Dirty Harry sound. And here's the other one. So hopefully that clears up the confusion.